What's up, everybody? Welcome to Recovering with me, recovering and discovering Nicole. What's up, everybody? All right, so we just got done with a live stream over on Dr. B's channel. So if you missed it, after this video is over, you can go check that video out. Let me go ahead and share this video on Facebook real fast, and then I'm going to bring Kimmy on because we're ready to go. We're rocking and rolling. Today, you guys, I went walking. I walked 54 minutes, 5,550 something steps, and I burned how many calories? 334 calories. So if y'all are not walking with me every day, I've been going around 4 or 4:30. I live stream on my Facebook account, which is Nikki, NICKYPLOUDRE, Hush Nathaniel, I'm on a live. And then you guys can come walk with us. I just put the music on and I take y'all down the road with me. Today we went to the Goodwill. My co-host is there as usual. Say hi, co-host. He's like, I cannot be bothered. And then my other co-host is over there because he threw his back out. So we got all the co-hosts here. So, okay, Kimmy's like, bitch, come on, bring me on. Let me get this video shared and then I'm bringing you on, Kimmy. Okay, share the video. Let's do this. Okay, I'm excited. I've known Kimmy for a while. She's followed my YouTube channel since I started it, basically. And I know that she was able to taper off of Suboxone before I ever even tried to come off of it. So I've always really kind of, looked up to her because she was able to accomplish that. I wanted to accomplish too. So, okay, got it going. Here we go, Kimmy. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, girl.
Hey.
I'm so glad you're on.
I know. It's so good to see you.
You too. I feel like we have known each other for a really long time.
I know.
But we've never talked on the phone or been like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you know the deal. It's super laid back on my channel. I'm not gonna put no pressure on you. All I would like for you to do is share with us what it was like when you were growing up, how your childhood was, and what you think kind of led you into your addiction, whether it was later on in life because you got prescribed pain meds, whether it was because you experienced trauma or abuse, whatever it was, or it was because you just wanted to get high, and share with us how you got into using, what it was like during your addiction, maybe some of the key points, the worst times that you experienced, and then tell us how you got sober. And I really would like for you to touch on how you were able to taper off medication-assisted treatment too. So okay. I'm going to shut my mouth and let you take the lead. And, if I have any questions, I'll just butt in and ask you, okay?
Okay. So I actually don't have a lot of memory of my childhood. For whatever reason, I'm sure trauma related. I have worked for years in therapy on trying to unlock memories, but they just don't come back. I can tell you that my dad worked in a beer factory. My mom was a nurse, and my dad had a problem with alcohol and probably drugs. I don't really know. But he beat the crap out of my mom all the time. And honestly, most of my youngest childhood memories are of that. I don't really have any other memories. So I know, looking back, that I was always trying to look for something to make me feel safe. And I think that's where a big part of my addiction came into play. But I never, when I was a teenager, my friends were experimenting with drugs and, I smoked pot here and there, but I never did they were doing ecstasy and K and all this other stuff. And I was always too paranoid to do it because I never wanted to feel like I was out of control of myself.
Did your dad ever abuse you, or was it just abuse to your mom?
I don't know. I have nightmares, but I don't know what's memory and what's...
So your brain blocked it out. How some people that have a dissociative identity disorder, their brain kind of disconnects from that part of their life and forms another person of them. Absolutely. To kind of protect them from that.
Yeah. So I definitely, a big part of my anxiety disorder is that I do disassociate. And I don't even know that I'm doing it. I just all of a sudden be like, I have no memory of this at all. So I don't have dissociative identity disorder, but I definitely do dissociate a lot. So, as far as my childhood, I don't really know what else to say about that. My mom eventually did leave my dad and is with a wonderful guy now. And my dad and I have an okay relationship. I honestly I don't know what was done to him to make him act like that. But I don't think that he either remembers or believes that he was like that. I really don't, because he's not, he's really hard to describe, but I can't see him laying a hand on anybody now. So for
Maybe he
whatever
had like
reason,
some kind of trauma happen to him, or I don't know if he was in the military or stuff, but I know that a lot of guys who have been in the military, will have like flashbacks and stuff like that. So that's
yeah.
pretty awesome though that y'all have a good relationship now. So
Yeah.
that's
I
all
mean,
that matters.
it's sort of, I don't really have like fatherly feelings toward him. Like if he were to try to hug me, that would probably be the most uncomfortable thing in the world. But, we get along and I care about his well-being and stuff like that. And I know he loves me. So, that is what it is. So yeah, I never really got into the whole drug thing until I was older. Like I said, I smoked a little pot. Um, I always had issues with my weight. And when I was around 14, I got into karate and kickboxing, which changed my life. I loved it so much. I lost a lot of weight. My self-esteem went through the roof. But I eventually had an injury where I had to have major reconstructive surgery on my knee. And I was prescribed like Tylenol with codeine, which I don't actually remember particularly enjoying it at that point. I think I was too young and too much pain, and my medication was probably monitored by my parents, my intake. Um, I guess fast forward until when I was about 21, I was working in a nursing home and I threw my back out. And I went to urgent care and they prescribed me hydrocodone and Valium. And I remember taking it and thinking, oh my God, like not only is my pain gone, but I feel so good. I felt warm and safe and cozy. I called it the warm fuzzies. I felt social. I'm a very sort of, I'm not, words aren't coming to me. I'm not a loner, but I do enjoy my alone time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to socialize. I wanted to be out and doing things. And that was really sort of the beginning of getting that feeling and realizing, my God, this is better than any antidepressant I've ever taken. And I was on and off different psych meds. I had been in therapy and, I had been on a bunch of different meds. I wasn't at that point, but so, next couple of years, I would go to urgent care every once in a while and seek out, it's, oh, my back hurts. Oh, my knee hurts. I still had that knee injury, that I had surgery for, and they would prescribe me like short-term Norco and usually Valium too. And then eventually, my primary at the time said, you know what, let's just put you on these long term. So he started prescribing me 150 Norco 10s a month. And they would never last a full month, obviously, ever. So I would have to,
Jackpot,
try to,
baby.
huh? What? I
Jackpot.
know, but it was never enough. It was never enough.
Yeah.
No matter how many it was, I would always run out early and I would make these bets with myself or like these deals with myself. I'd say, if you're going to take too many at the beginning of the month, you have to cut down and take less so you don't go through withdrawal. And it never happened. It never happened. So I
I
would either,
remember those days, girl.
oh,
I remember trying to save them, trying to take a little, trying to break them in half and like put them and hide them. And
yeah,
then I would always go back to my hiding spot, honey.
I'd give them to my mom and I'd be like, hold these and only give me like one a day. And then a day later, I'd be like, just give them all to me. They're mine. Give them to me.
Yeah. And then we get pissed at our family members, our
For
boyfriends, our
holding them.
girlfriends, our moms, dads, and be fighting them to get our fucking medication back from them because we
Oh,
told them no matter what, don't give me this medication.
yep. 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 Every month. Every month. So I would either find somebody to buy them from, and I don't have a lot of like street experience. So I would just ask people I knew, like, and I, usually was able to get some, but there came a time when nobody had any. And then I ended up getting my script cut from 150 to 120 when, Norco got changed from like a schedule 3 to a schedule 2 in New York. And I just want to say, I got a lot of flack in early addiction from people in recovery programs about being like a light addict or a baby addict. Like, I've never done heroin.
That
I've
doesn't
done.
mean that you can't have a bad addiction to
Oh,
pills, though.
I know.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
that's the
Like,
thing.
I
Like,
know some people that would snort. This is crazy to me, but they would snort Norcos. Like, they would
yeah,
chalk those up to snort.
yeah,
Like, they were hardcore on the pills. And I don't want you to feel worried, because we were talking about, the functioning addiction thing.
oh
When I
no,
say when I say I don't believe in functioning addiction, what I mean by that is, I mean that even if a person is functioning and they have a job, they have a husband, they have a roof over their head,
yeah,
somewhere in their life, they're sacrificing something
right,
to be high on drugs. They're sacrificing their morals, their values, their beliefs, their like self-confidence, like
right,
something is being falling to the wayside. You know what I'm
sure,
saying?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I totally forgot where I was.
You were talking about how people gave you a hard time
Yeah,
because they
so
called you a light addict.
I had done Oxycontin, like, Oxy 80s for a while when that's all I could get. But the thing is my body didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't like Oxy. I had horrible rebound headaches from it. I liked Norco. That was my thing. I loved it. I'd done Dilaudid and morphine and all this other shit, but Norco was for me like what made me feel good. And
Yeah.
sure, I took, I didn't just take one, I took many at a time. But not like ridiculous amounts. You know what I'm saying? I never took enough, I don't think, to be in danger of an overdose. I mean, the most I probably ever took at a time of Norco was like probably 60 milligrams at a time, a couple times a day. So,
That's a
um,
good amount of Norcos to take at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah.
You know
I
what
mean,
I
that's
mean?
a lot of Tylenol too.
Yeah.
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 So, I just was in this constant cycle of, having a really good 2 weeks, what I thought was a good 2 weeks where I had gotten my script refilled. And then I would, be constantly worrying about running out, and I'd be like OCD, like counting my pills. Like every time I would go to dose, I'd have to count my pills to make sure that all the pills that were supposed to be there were there. And
Yeah.
then it's, oh my God, is my doctor going to call in my prescription? Is the pharmacy going to let me fill it? Will they let me fill it a day or two early? It was just always this huge thing. And I'd miss a lot of work when I was in withdrawal because, you know, it's a bitch to work when you're in withdrawal.
Yeah. Nobody wants to do that. That's not good.
No. And I'd miss work when I got my script filled too, because I just want to stay home and get high, you know? And I had heard about Suboxone, but the thing is, where I lived, there were only a few doctors that prescribed it, and those doctors were at their max of how many patients they were allowed to prescribe it to. So I put it off and I put it off. Sorry, my cats are running around like psychos. So this 1 month I had taken way more than usual, and I was gonna, usually I'd have to go about 2 to 3 days before I could refill. So, enough to have a couple of days of withdrawal, but nothing, crazy. So this 1 month I was going to be out like a week early, and I was just terrified. It's like every month the withdrawal was worse and worse and worse. And I just, the fear of withdrawal is ridiculous. Looking back, I'm like, God, it's like a flu, but it's just ridiculous. So I had looked into this program where you go to an emergency department locally to me, and they will basically prescribe you a bridge dose of Suboxone until you can get into a clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom dragged me out one day when I was in withdrawal. I don't know how she got me out. I was absolutely miserable. But we found this clubhouse that does like meetings, and they have resources for people in addiction. And I was in there for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, nope, gotta go. The sweat's dripping off of me. I gotta find a bathroom. So this lady ends up chasing us out of the clubhouse, and she's like, have you heard about this, this treatment center? It's literally right around the corner. And we hadn't heard of it. I guess it was kind of new. So we went over there, and it turns out I knew the lady who worked in the reception desk. We used to work together. So they got me in right away for an assessment, and they said, yes, we think you're a good candidate for our program, but we just can't take you on to prescribe you Suboxone right yet. You're going to have to go to the emergency department. So we did that. She prescribed me 8 milligrams to begin with, which at the time I thought was high, because I was well aware going into this that Suboxone is stronger than Norco.
Yeah.
But I also knew that until I got my head straight, I needed to be not in withdrawal in order to work on myself. I didn't think that I'd be able to get through it any other way. So she had prescribed me 8 milligrams, and I'm like, I don't want to take that many. I think the first night I took 2 milligrams, and I was high as a kite.
Fucked up.
High as a kite.
Yep.
Now, I mean, not like Norco high, but I was like, this is
but
recovery?
like it's too much.
I was
it's
like, this is
too
recovery?
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's not a
luckily,
good feeling when
no.
people are like, oh, whenever I had that experience, it was before I got on them for addiction, but I had taken them as like to fill in because I couldn't get any opiates.
Yeah.
And I took a whole 8 milligram stop sign pill, crushed it up and snorted it. And I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Because I was projectile vomiting. That's how high I was.
Yeah, no. I was sick for like 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks.
It was horrible.
It was not precipitated withdrawal. It was just my body. It was so harsh on my body. Like I felt like I was car sick constantly for the first several weeks. But eventually, that 2 milligrams wasn't enough. And I did stabilize on 8 milligrams. I did 4 milligrams twice a day. And then I got into the regular program. Now that's the thing around here is you can, maybe Sublicade's available now. It wasn't when I was on it, at least not in my area. But the programs all require you to do a certain number of therapy sessions or this, that, and the other in order to get your Suboxone script. Yeah. And the thing is, like, and this is not a knock to anybody, but I had private health insurance through my employer. And because of that, they were trying to charge me ridiculous amounts of money. If I had Medicaid, it would have been free. So and I'm like, I can't be doing like 3-4 therapy sessions a week. I work full time. I don't have time for this. I don't know, if I lose my job, that's just so eventually we figured it out. And I gave myself a hard and fast rule. I said, I'm going to be on for 1 year and then I'm going to get off. Don't ever do that.
Because 1 year that, I think.
Yeah.
We're all like setting this time limit, but like we didn't have a time limit when we were in active addiction.
Right.
And we give ourselves such a hard time and say, I can only be on this for 6 months. I can only be on this for a year. And then when we don't meet that, we feel like a failure.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't feel too bad. I looked at myself a year in and I thought, I'm closer, but I'm not ready. If I get off right now, I'm going to go right back. I'm just not ready. And I had tried, the lady that I knew in the treatment program had gotten me to go to some local AA meetings. Now she said they do have NA, but she was familiar with the AA meetings. And she said, I said, but I'm not an alcoholic. And she said, doesn't matter. Just respect the house that you're in and say, I'm an alcoholic and I'm an addict. But I always felt like such a hypocrite because I'm like, I'm not an alcoholic. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed it. I went for a while, but it was really the community aspect of it that I enjoyed. I never got a sponsor. I never worked the steps. I didn't go that long. I found Refuge Recovery, which I liked quite a bit. And then the individual therapy was what worked best for me. I stayed in the individual therapy for the whole time that I was on Suboxone. I did a lot of workbooks and, stuff on my own. And around the 2-year mark, so it was during COVID, everything went virtual. Yeah. So they had said at the beginning, like, you're actually not getting charged for these appointments anymore. You have to pay for your Suboxone, but you're not getting charged for the appointments. Well, midway through, my insurance changed and nobody told me that all of a sudden they're not in network anymore. And I guess I should have looked into it, but I would have never even thought about that. So 6 months after that, I get a bill for thousands and thousands of dollars of treatment. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this, and I was already to the point where I was like, okay, I think I'm about ready to get off. The financial thing did push me, I don't know if I would have stayed on it any longer had it not been for that, but I did also feel like I was ready. And I did work with my Suboxone provider and she gave me her blessing. She says, I think you're ready too.
I think she needs to go potty. Sorry.
No, you're
I was telling him the dog needs to go potty. She's over here looking at me like,
I had a relapse plan in place. I actually, and I hate to say this because I'm pretty sure my family's watching right now, but I was very surprised, and surprised is all I can say with how much support I had in my family that I didn't necessarily think that I would. So that was really nice. But yeah, I worked with my doctor on a taper plan. I would say it took around 6 months. So I started my taper after I had been on for 2 years. So I had been on in total for 2.5 years. So I think the taper was about 6 months. Now I went, there's the text. Yes, we're watching. I went from 8 milligrams to 4 milligrams to 2 milligrams to 1.5 to 1 to a half. And that's it. I didn't have the patience to be cutting it any smaller than that. And I waited for each drop that I made. I waited until I felt stable and I felt like I wasn't in withdrawal anymore. And then I went down lower and it wasn't bad. Like until I got below 2 milligrams, it was the sneezing. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Wasn't bad at all, but that's really like 2 milligrams is a lot. I mean, I can't believe the difference.
I didn't realize it was that much until I tried to get off.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is really a high amount. It's really a lot to be on 1 milligram, really.
And you're on 0.5 now, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt great on 0.5. I felt great.
I'm fine. I sleep through the night. I don't have no issues.
Yeah, I felt great. And I had enough stockpiled where I could have stayed on it for a lot longer. But at that point I was like, you know what, let's just see how it goes. And I didn't put a lot of pressure on myself. You know, I said, if this doesn't go the way I want it to go or whatever, it's fine. I'll just get back on it. I'm not gonna, you know, of course I would much rather do that than, you know. So I picked a date to take my last strip. I took 2 weeks off of work. It was right before Christmas. So that was fun. I actually made a video of every day in withdrawal. I never posted them, but
you should post them.
I know. I look like crap. But it wasn't horrible. You know, if I had kids or if I had to work through it, it probably would have been completely different.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it was right before Christmas. So I got out, my mom dragged me out every day to make sure, you know, we had to go Christmas shopping and this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, I felt like crap, but it was different this time because I chose it. I chose this withdrawal. It wasn't me like caught between a rock and a hard place. I've run out of meds, you know, I was ready. I chose it. It was really the emotional part that was the hardest, and the sleep, obviously the sleep, but, I'm lucky in that I have a wonderful primary care provider. We're friends, and he knew everything that was going on, and he was there if I needed anything. And I'm like, I actually felt horrible because I called him like a weekend and I'm like, I need some Ativan. Like, I can't do this. And he's like, well, it's like, I'm not saying no, but let's try some other things first. Cause that probably shouldn't be our first, you know, and I ended up not needing any. He did prescribe me a light, sleeping pill, which was a godsend. I actually was able to sleep on that pill. But yeah, it lasted maybe, I think, about 14 days, but then pause was the worst, you know, that was the worst. I had gotten on Lexapro about a couple of months before I jumped because I knew I already had anxiety disorder and OCD. And I just wanted to kind of soften the blow, I guess. And I knew I knew something like Wellbutrin would be better because dopamine, but I can't. Wellbutrin like makes you. So I don't know if it does it to you,
jittery.
But yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that.
You know, I actually stopped taking my Wellbutrin like a week and a half ago, and I've been great ever since. So
Have you?
I'm going to test it. I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like I'm being led to take as less medications as I can. So I'm just taking my Lexapro and my Suboxone.
Yep. So I got on that, and it really did help as far as the anxiety goes, but I don't think it really helped with pause at all. That was just kind of something I feel like I had to go through, and it was rough. I mean, there were times like I would go to work, would still go to work every day, but I would come home and I just wanted to sleep. Like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sleep. There were weeks where I couldn't clean my apartment. I'd have to ask my mom to come help me. Like, I can't, I have a small apartment, so it doesn't take long to clean it, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get off the couch and do it. I had lost, anhedonia. I had lost interest in everything that I like to do, which I had a little bit on the Suboxone, but I still felt like I had a little bit of passion on the Suboxone, but it just completely was gone when I was in pause. But around the 10 or 11th month mark, I started to feel much better. And then the year came, and I finally felt like this fog was lifting, and I feel like me again. The only thing now is that there's nothing to stop me from having cravings, and I do have cravings, and I have to be really vigilant because there are people around me who have access to opioids, and they're not, not drug addicts or anything like that, just people who might have, chronic pain issues or whatever. So I have to be really, really careful. And I know in my head, logically, I don't ever want to go through that again. I
Right.
don't ever want to go through that again, but there'll be days where I'm just like, I just want to feel good.
I know what you mean,
I just
girl.
want to feel
That's why I
good.
take these little fuckers.
Yeah.
These are caffeine pills. This is my feel good pill.
Oh, see, I know I need like downer. I can't uppers. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I love downers.
Well, I mean, I like all of it, but I don't
Yeah.
have really anything that I could take to down me that I could actually function on.
Right.
So I just get me some caffeine pumping.
But yeah, you were talking about like what I really looking back, and this just occurred to me within the last like couple of months. I think it was a safety thing. I think for whatever reason, when I took those pain pills, I felt like I was in this warm bubble and nobody could get to me. Nobody could get to me here because I just didn't care. You know what I mean? And my grandma, who was like my best friend in the world, she died when I was in the middle of my active addiction. And I was there physically and felt like I did everything I needed to do, but I couldn't grieve.
Yeah.
I couldn't even cry when she died because I just didn't have the emotional capacity to do that. So there's a lot of guilt about that. And she knew that I was, I don't know if she knew how bad it was, but she knew that I was on them. So yeah, that's pretty much my story.
Listen to me. I feel like you were so worried because you feel like you're not an addict enough or something.
Well, I heard that a lot from people like, oh, you've never done heroin or you weren't, yeah, you may have done oxy, but you weren't addicted to oxy. No, but it still controlled every aspect of my life.
It's an opioid,
Yeah. Every single, like my day had a very set schedule, and don't like, God help anybody who tried to interfere with my schedule. Like I get out of work, don't talk to me because I have to go home and take my pills.
Yeah.
Like, everything I didn't go out with friends because no, like you're intruding on my pill time,
Right. Yeah, totally. Most people are most people are like you. You know that, right? Like,
yeah.
Most people get addicted through pain medication being prescribed to them and stuff like that.
Right.
I didn't do heroin. I've done it like maybe 10 times because there was no heroin in Arkansas in 2010. It was all Roxy's everywhere, Roxy's.
Yeah.
And so that was I started out though on Norcos and stuff, but when I got out of prison, it was like Roxy's were everywhere. It was like they were on every corner. And so that's what I did. I did Roxy's,
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people who get addicted through medication being prescribed. When I first got on Xanax, it was because I was at work. I had a panic attack and my boss gave me a Xanax, a little peach one. And I went to my doctor and he prescribed it to me and it was off to the races,
Yep.
So
I feel so lucky about that because I used to do like, I do Xanax and I probably never did like more than 1 milligram at a time, but I'd crush them and snort them and they never did anything. I was like, this is a placebo, right? Because
she liked Valium though.
Right? Well, I was prescribed the Valium with a Norco. So,
but she wouldn't prefer it. It was just with the.
Yeah, I never sought out benzos. I never cared enough to, So, and I can still feel that I can have a drink occasionally. I don't enjoy getting drunk. I hate being hungover. I think I may have a drink or two once or twice a year at a special event, but I don't, I still partake in the occasional edible.
Yeah. I tried to have edibles, but you know how it is for me. I eat plates of lasagna when I take edibles.
I am on a diet, and the other night I stopped at the gas station and got a Snickers bar, and it blew my mind because there's only 250 calories in a Snickers bar, and I was like, I have these calories in my budget. I can eat this. yeah, not a good idea.
Tell everybody about your how much weight have you lost?
So at my highest recorded weight, I was 330 pounds. And then I had gastric bypass and I settled right around 170. That was where I was most comfortable. Right now, I'm right around 200.
I would love to
So
be 170 pounds. I would love to be 200.
I was a size 6 at 170 pounds, you know,
Yeah.
like
Are you tall?
no, I'm 5'6".
Well, that's tall. I'm only 5'4", girl.
Oh, well, but I swear to God, it's the either that or a combination of the Lexapro and getting off Suboxone. But I'm mad at people that can eat whatever they want and
Me
just
too.
not gain
Me
weight. Like,
too.
I'm mad at them.
Do you feel like that was your first addiction? Was it food?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had the disease of addiction before you ever put a
Yeah,
drug in your
and
body.
smoking cigarettes, like I've always dealt with a nicotine addiction. I mean, I'm still chewing nicotine gum. I haven't smoked a cigarette in years, but I still have to have nicotine gum sometimes.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of us that have food addiction, growing up with food addiction and stuff, turn to cross addicting into drugs, or vice versa, drug addiction and then cross addicting into food. Because whenever I got sober, then I started overeating again and feeling that dopamine with my food. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's funny because when I lost all that weight, and so I was eating really healthy and not using food to cope. And then I got, off of pain meds and I quit smoking. And I'm like, well, God, what the hell fun is there to be had now? You know what I mean? Like, so
I don't even know if I subconsciously don't think, oh, what am I going to do now? But it's like our bodies and our brains, like we seek out something to make us feel better.
Yeah.
Like a robot, like not even realizing it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's why when people say stuff like, oh, people that talk about people that are on Suboxone and stuff, and like we're not in recovery and things like that, I think, okay, you know what, man? It's always something you're going to be working on. Okay, you get off Suboxone. Now you have to start working back on your food intake. You get your food intake in check and you're skinny again. Now you're chewing the nicotine gum. Then you get your nicotine gum. It's always
something. That's exactly. I was saying that last week. I'm like, can I just get a break? I mean, I say that like I know there's people that have such horrible things going on right now, but can I just get a break where I don't have to worry about any of this crap, for a little while?
Nobody's perfect though, and so we're always trying to be better. Like I want to strive to be better than I was yesterday.
Right.
So today I was sitting here and I was like, I'm not going to do my makeup for the show. I'm going to be lazy and lay in bed all day long. And I said, damn it, no. And I got up, I took a shower, I put my makeup on with y'all, and I took my walk today.
Right.
Because I'm trying to be better than yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
And I think too, like it's hard to it's very easy for us to be compassionate to other people, but it's hard for us to give ourselves grace and say, look, like I've come so far, so I have to deal with an extra 30, 40 pounds. I'll get it off, but
exactly
not to try not to beat myself up over it,
Yeah. Yes.
Easier said than done.
I'm trying not to beat myself up. That's what I tell myself. Nicole, you've come so far. You've overcome this, that, and the third. Like, okay, so what? So you're chunky. Big deal.
Right.
You can get the chunk off.
Right.
Okay. I can't come back from the motherfucking grave.
Right.
If I die from a drug overdose,
Yep. Absolutely.
And I'm telling you right now, if you had stayed using pills, your ass would be on fentanyl now.
Probably. You know and that's the other thing. Like, I didn't have to worry about that. Like, when I bought pills off the street, the biggest worry I had was that they were nothing. They were like a placebo. I never had to worry about fentanyl ever.
Right.
Ever.
It's crazy. People don't have the ability to get high like we used to and enjoy it and not worry about dying.
Because it's
Now, every time you go out and buy drugs, it is a literal risk that you could be dying.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Russian roulette.
Oh, I know.
It's not worth it anymore. And honestly, it's not worth it to risk your life. And my boss, we work with this guy. He's an interventionist and he is in California. And one of my coworkers went with him to film the other day in LA. And they met this couple that was like 22 years old, a man and a woman, or girl and a boy. And they were so fucked up on that fentanyl shit. They were living in a little like shack in the middle of, and they're so young, 21 years old, 22 years old, and their whole life is ahead of them. And they are so addicted, hopelessly addicted. You know, I don't want to ever have to go back to that.
No, not at all. I mean, I feel very blessed because I never lost anything. I didn't. I'm sure I lost some people's respect, but as far as, I never lost a roof over my head. I never lost a job, anything like that, but it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been, and if you had kept on going, it would have been.
Yeah.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this: you might not have lost like material things, but in your heart, like you knew, I'm abusing this substance. I shouldn't be taking it. I know
Yeah.
better than this. I'm better than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when I tell people that are functioning. I say, yeah, you might have all those things, those material things, but in your heart,
Right.
in right here is, that you're doing this, and that you're better than that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm proud of you for getting sober, because it's hard, and I'm proud of you for being able to get off of Suboxone, because so many people struggle to do that. I struggled to do it. I had to get back on because I couldn't handle the depression.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want anybody to think like that I think there's anything wrong with being on Suboxone. There's absolutely not.
Oh no.
Everybody's got their own journey, and some people feel like they need to get off of it and others don't. And if I hadn't, that would have been fine too. It's just that for me, I was sick of being chained down.
Yeah, I totally understand.
So
I totally understand. And people ask me that all the time. They say, aren't you, don't you get tired of having to go to the pharmacy? And yeah, it gets annoying for sure. And I think about things happening like natural disasters.
That's what I would worry about all the time.
Like some shit shutting down,
Yeah.
But I just try to think, like, if that happens, girl, you're going to be so fucking it's going to be fine. And I try to just stay positive. But I do think about that a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate you for coming on here. I have to ask you the question. Okay.
Oh.
So there's people that are watching this video right now that are probably in active addiction. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they're thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I could get where Kimmy's at. What would you say to the person that's on the other side of the screen that is watching this live stream back, and they are really wanting to get sober, but they don't know what to do? They don't know where to start. They don't think they can do it. What would you say to that person?
For me, the biggest asset was having a support system in place. And I know that not everybody has, close friends and family that they can utilize as a support system. And in that case, I would say, your groups, because they have been hugely instrumental for me. They really have, being able to find a community of other like-minded people. It's irreplaceable, because even your friends and family, if they haven't been through it, they don't know, they can sympathize and have compassion, but they haven't been through it. So for me, the biggest thing is having a support system and having people to kind of guide you.
I agree. It has helped me the most to have people that y'all are my support system. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. When I come on here, I don't think people realize that, but like, it really helps me to come on here and do my live streams, even if it's just me coming on here talking shit and we're doing the makeup and stuff. Yeah. It's like me having communication with other adults. I'm at home with my son.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of moms out there can relate. You're at home and you're talking to 6-year-olds all day long,
right?
Your kids. And it's like, you go crazy like that.
Yeah.
And so it really helps me to have people to talk to. I have to tell you, Brittany wants to know. So I guess she missed it when you were talking about coming off the subs. Will you explain to everybody like how you got to where? I already know because I heard it, Brittany. You weren't listening. But tell us what happened. Tell us how you decided and then what your process was.
So I felt from the beginning that I didn't want to be on it forever. And again, had I decided at some point that I needed to be, that would have been fine too. But I felt like around the 2-year mark that I was ready. I also had financial issues going on, but I did feel like I was ready. And I discussed it with my doctor. And I do feel like that's important, but I also feel like a lot of doctors don't know how to properly taper people off of Suboxone.
Yeah.
And I know that for most people, going off at 0.5 is not low enough. Like people go way lower than that. I just didn't have the patience. But for me, I decided I was ready. I had my relapse plan in place. And I just listened to my body. I went relatively quickly from 8 to 2, from 8 to 6 to 4 to 2, because I didn't really have any discomfort.
Yeah.
It was from 2 to 1.5 to 1 to 1/2, where I kind of took my time. And again, I just listened to my body. I waited until I was no longer in withdrawal and I felt comfortable. And a few days after that, I would go down again. And it really didn't. it wasn't overly noticeable until 0.5. It really wasn't. I mean, I was sneezing and having, diarrhea and stuff like that, but it really wasn't overly noticeable until I got to 0.5. And at that point, it was just, just have to do this. I'm going to feel like crap. I'm going to feel like I have the flu. And it's so funny because I found myself going back to all the old things that I used to do when I was in withdrawal, like binge watching, like Ryan's videos on, Ryan Leone's videos and other
Yeah.
people like in withdrawal, and I'm binging them and I'm feeling so bad for myself. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why? I'm not in that desperate part of my life anymore where I'm miserable because I'm in withdrawal that's been forced upon me. I'm in withdrawal because I'm ready to be. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that was the biggest thing, reminding myself, this is my choice. I am choosing this. This is just something that I have to go through to come out the other side. And that was like the biggest thing that got me through, was just remembering I chose this. If I need to, I have Suboxone. I can take it
Yeah.
if I have to, you know?
Yeah. The mind, man, is powerful. And
It
the fact
really
that you
is.
were able to remind your mind, like, mind, nobody took my meds from,
Yeah.
nobody's fucking putting me in jail and walking me away.
Yeah.
And just knowing that you have it there, it helps
Absolutely.
ease your anxiety. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And I never got rid of them. I gave all of my leftover stash to my mom just in case. I got to tell her now we can probably get rid of them and take them to like the police station. But I was so afraid if something ever happens and it comes down to either me relapsing, I'm going to take a Suboxone.
Right.
And like
Totally.
I said, they're not super easy to get around here. So I save those. I don't know if she still has them or not, but
No,
so,
but you did the right thing. I feel like you went nice and slow and
yeah,
took your time and you had support. I mean, that's the main thing, is just make sure that you're not doing it alone, because it
right.
can be super overwhelming. Like, I don't know, for me, when I go through opiate withdrawal, it makes me cry and I get depressed.
Every little thing. But I'm like that now too. Like
Yeah.
ever since I got off and then getting off the Lexapro, I was watching like figure skating at work the other day, and some little girl just tripped and fell, and I just burst into tears. Like she was
Yeah.
fine. She just, everything makes me cry. But I couldn't cry for so long.
Do you feel like Suboxone took your feelings away? Because people say that, and y'all know how emotional I am. I don't feel like that. But I guess I
No,
haven't been off of it long enough
I
to
was
know.
still able to cry and laugh, maybe not as much. It was the Lexapro for me that took away
Yeah.
my emotions, but I still was able to feel things on Suboxone, just maybe not as much.
Same. Okay. Yeah, me
So
too.
yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on here. I
Well,
love you,
thanks for
girl.
having me.
You
Love
did an
you
awesome
too.
job. If you guys want to, I'm going to end the live, and I'm going to go live on TikTok and go walk down to see if the tanning bed is working, if y'all want to come with me.
Oh, fun. Cool. All right. Well,
So
bye everybody. We'll talk later.
you did awesome, Kimmy. See, I
Thank
told you
you.
would do great. Love you,
Thank you.
girl.
Love you. Bye.
Hey, where's my co-host at? Co-host, what did you think? Do we give her a 10 out of 10? Say, come here, co-host. Oh, my co-host says 10 out of 10. Do recommend. My baby. Okay, guys, you want to go walk down to the tanning bed with me? See if it works. So, you guys, that was Kimmy, my girl. She is been with me on my channel for years, since the pandemic, or a little bit before that, I think. So, I hope you guys enjoyed her inspirational story. You guys, just so you know, if you're a person in recovery and you feel like you're not addict enough, or if I ever make you feel like that, that's never my intentions. I hope you guys know that. I know I want there to be a representation of all addictions on this channel. That's why, like, having people like Kevin from Kicking Addiction and Kimmy, they are people who represent they were into pills. They didn't cross over to heroin or fentanyl or whatever, right? And that doesn't make their addiction less than. Opioids ruling your life sucks ass 100%, no matter what. Hey, KJ, you could call me here. Text me on this number right here, okay? They rule your life. It doesn't matter. They suck no matter what. You know what I'm saying? That's my phone number, okay? 471-9455. And I want people to come on here and share, no matter what, severity of their addiction that they had, okay? Because I want to be able to represent the drug addicts. So if you're somebody who wants to share your story, okay, and you would like to come on the show, we do it every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight we were a little bit later because we had to do Dr. B's channel. That is my cell phone number in the comment section. If you would like to come share your story, please text me and I will schedule you for the next live stream. Now, we do have our next is, I can't remember, but our next guest is coming up. I think it's Dana. I'm not sure though, but guest already scheduled till I think May, the first week of May. I know Selfie Queen Cindy's coming on. Like, we got a bunch of different guests. Okay. But if you want to share your story, it doesn't matter how severe your addiction was or how not severe it was, or how, it doesn't matter if you became an addict because you were born dependent on drugs, or if it was because you got abused, or if it's because your boyfriend holds you hostage and shot you up with drugs, or you got prescribed medication. It does not matter how you became that way or what happened. We just want to know what happened, what it was like while you were going through it, and how you got through it, and how you got sober. Okay. So that way we can share your story with other people to inspire them. Okay. So if you guys want to go live, I'm going to go walk down to the tanning bed. My TikTok account is Discovering Nicole 7754. I'm going to go live right now on my TikTok and walk down to the tanning bed. So I'm pressing live. Come hang out with me and let's go. Love you guys. Hey, hey.